To our amazing viewers at Cheating Tales Lab, we'd love to hear, which part of the world are you joining us from? Let us know. Now, let's dive into today's story. Joel Hodges folded the laundry with precise, methodical movements. Each shirt aligned perfectly, each crease exactly where it should be. The afternoon sun streamed through the kitchen window of their suburban Seattle home, casting geometric shadows across the marble countertops. To anyone watching, he was the picture of domestic contentment, a stay-at-home husband who had retired early from a vague consulting career. The truth was buried deeper than most graves. "You're home late again," Joel said without turning around as the front door clicked shut. His voice was warm, concerned, a mask he'd worn for 6 years of marriage. Alyssa Hodges dropped her designer handbag on the console table, her blonde hair perfectly styled despite the Seattle drizzle. Client meeting ran long. Her tone was clipped, distracted. She didn't meet his eyes. Joel had been a Kidon operative for Mossad, one of their most efficient killers. He could read micro-expressions the way others read billboards. The slight tension in her jaw, the way her pupils constricted when she lied, the barely perceptible tremor in her left hand. His wife was lying, and she'd been lying for months. "I made your favorite," he said, gesturing to the dining table. "Chicken piccata." Alyssa glanced at the spread, something flickering across her face. Guilt? Disgust? "I'm not hungry." "Ate at the meeting." She headed for the stairs. "I have calls to make." Joel watched her go, his expression never changing. In his previous life, he'd tracked a Hamas cell leader through 3 countries for 8 months. Patience was a weapon he'd mastered long ago. Later that evening, while Alyssa locked herself in the home office, Joel sat in the darkened living room, a glass of whiskey untouched beside him. His phone buzzed, a secure message from Brent Hoyt, one of the few people who knew what Joel really was. "Your name came up in chatter. Hong Kong-based contractor asking questions about you. Wanted to know if the rumors were true. Someone's probing." Joel's jaw tightened. He'd left that life behind when he'd met Alyssa at a charity gala 7 years ago. She'd been a pharmaceutical sales executive, brilliant, driven, beautiful. He'd fallen hard, something he'd thought himself incapable of after 2 decades of sanctioned killing. For her, he'd walked away. For her, he'd become Joel Hodges, the man who made breakfast and did the grocery shopping. The man who'd buried his real name so deep, even he sometimes forgot it. He texted back. Who was asking? Guy named Anthony Russell. Enforcer for the Jade Dragon Triad. Elite. Expensive. Joel's blood went cold. No one hired Jade Dragon enforcers for information. You hired them for one thing. To make problems disappear permanently. He looked up at the ceiling, toward the office where his wife was making calls. The woman he'd given up everything for. The woman he'd trusted with his life. His phone buzzed again. This time, it was a photo. Alyssa leaving a downtown hotel 3 weeks ago. Walking beside her was a man, tall, dark-haired, expensive suit. Derek Sherwood, according to the metadata. Investment banker. Net worth, $40 million. The second photo showed them kissing in the parking garage. Joel didn't break the glass in his hand, though his grip tightened. He didn't make a sound. He simply sat in the darkness, a predator that had just realized it was being hunted. And Joel Hodges had killed things much more dangerous than unfaithful wives and their lovers. Derek Sherwood swirled his 30-year-old scotch, the amber liquid catching the low light of his penthouse apartment's living room. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, Seattle's skyline glittered like scattered diamonds. Across from him, Alyssa sat on the leather sofa, her third glass of wine making her movements loose, reckless. "He doesn't suspect anything?" Derek asked, his voice smooth as silk. "Joel? God, no. He's too busy meal prepping and reorganizing the garage." Alyssa laughed, bitter and sharp. "I can't believe I wasted 6 years on someone so small." Derek leaned forward, his expression carefully calibrated, part sympathy, part seduction. "You deserve so much more. We deserve more." What Alyssa didn't know was that Derek Sherwood wasn't just an opportunistic lover. 3 years ago, Joel had completed a mission in Cyprus, eliminating a weapons dealer named Marcus Sherwood who was supplying terrorists across 3 continents. Efficient. Clean. No witnesses. Except Marcus had a younger brother who'd spent every day since then searching for the ghost who'd killed him. Derek had resources, connections, and patience. It had taken him 2 years to track down the rumor of a retired Kidon operative living quietly in Seattle. Another 6 months to confirm it was Joel Hodges. Then he'd seen Alyssa's photo on Joel's forgotten social media. Beautiful, ambitious, and clearly unhappy. Seducing her had been almost too easy. The insurance policy is $3 million, Derek said, steering the conversation back on track. Plus your pharmaceutical company stock options, another $2 million. You file for divorce, you get maybe half of nothing. He doesn't work. He has no assets. So what are you suggesting? Alyssa's eyes gleamed. I'm suggesting that widows don't split assets. They inherit everything. Derek pulled out his phone, showed her a contact. I know people. Discreet people. It can look like a home invasion gone wrong. You were out of town. Tragic. No one would ever know. Alyssa stared at the phone, her breath quickening. You're talking about killing him. I'm talking about freeing you. Freeing us. Derek took her hand. He's just a house husband, Alyssa. He won't even see it coming. What neither of them knew was that Joel had placed surveillance devices throughout their home months ago, standard operational security from his old life. He'd heard every word of this conversation in real time, sitting in his car 3 blocks away. Joel ended the recording, his face expressionless. 20 years of killing, and nothing had ever made him feel this cold, this empty. He made a call to Brent. I need everything on Derek Sherwood. Everything. Jesus, Joel. What's happening? My wife is trying to have me killed, and I think she's just the weapon. Someone else is pulling the trigger. Within 2 hours, Brent sent the file. Joel read it in his car, the pieces falling into place like a sniper assembling a rifle. Derek's brother. The Cyprus operation. The timeline. This wasn't just adultery and greed. This was revenge wrapped in betrayal, and Alyssa was too blind to see she was being used. Joel felt something dark unfurl in his chest. Something he'd tried to bury when he'd left Mossad. The part of him that didn't just eliminate targets. The part that made them suffer first. He pulled up Anthony Russell's file next. The Triad enforcer was legendary. 8 confirmed hits, never caught. Never even identified by law enforcement. Russell operated with a team of elite contractors, specialists in making deaths look accidental. They were scheduled to arrive in Seattle in 72 hours. Joel allowed himself a cold smile. Let them come. FBI Special Agent Kyle Blair hated Seattle. The rain. The coffee obsession. The smugness. But the Bureau had sent him here 6 months ago to investigate Triad activities, and now he was sitting in a surveillance van outside a downtown hotel, watching Derek Sherwood meet with a man Kyle's facial recognition software identified as Anthony Russell. That's bad news, his partner, Stella Bradford, muttered. Russell doesn't do meetings. He does contracts. Kyle zoomed in with the directional mic, catching fragments. Former operative, won't be easy, half up front, half on completion. Then Russell said something that made Kyle's blood freeze. Jade Dragon doesn't fail. Your ghost will be dead within 48 hours. Kyle immediately ran Derek Sherwood's full background. Investment banker. Clean record. But his brother, Marcus Sherwood, had been killed 3 years ago in Cyprus. Officially listed as a targeted killing by unknown operatives. We need to figure out who their target is, Stella said. Kyle was already typing. Derek's known associates, recent contacts, financial transactions. Then he found it. Derek's affair with Alyssa Hodges. Married to Joel Hodges. Joel Hodges, who'd appeared in Seattle 7 years ago with a perfectly constructed background that was too perfect. No social media before 2018. No school records. No employment history beyond vague consulting. Kyle's Mossad contact list was short, but he made the call. 20 minutes later, he got a call back. Joel Hodges doesn't exist, his contact said. But if you're asking if we had an operative who went dark in Seattle 7 years ago, I can neither confirm nor deny. What I can tell you is that if you're thinking of approaching him, don't. Men like that don't retire. They just reload. Kyle hung up, staring at Joel's photo. A ghost. A killer. And someone had just put a hit on him. The question was, did Joel know? Meanwhile, Joel was in his basement workshop, surrounded by tools and equipment that would make a weapons inspector nervous. He'd spent the last 48 hours preparing, not just physically, but psychologically. Alyssa thought she was being clever, scheduling a girls' trip to Portland for this weekend. Convenient. Alibied. Derek had fed her every line, and she'd swallowed them all. Joel had played dumb. kissing her goodbye that morning with the same affection he always showed. Have fun. I'll miss you. She'd actually flinched. Now it was 7 p.m. The house was empty except for him. He'd sent messages to the neighbors warning them he was doing construction work. Stay inside. Ignore any loud noises. Joel laid out his tools with surgical precision. Not guns. Too much evidence. Too noisy despite suppressors. He selected fighting knives, tactical tomahawks, wire. His hands moved with muscle memory 20 years deep. At 8:47 p.m., his perimeter sensors triggered. Multiple vehicles, approaching slowly with lights off. Joel checked the camera feeds. 3 black SUVs, parking 2 blocks away. 12 men emerged. Professional. Coordinated. Anthony Russell leading them, his face cold and focused. But there was something else, an FBI sedan, parked 3 blocks back. Kyle Blair, watching through binoculars. Joel almost smiled. An audience. Perfect. He dimmed the lights, positioned himself in the kitchen, and began sharpening a knife, the distinctive sound of steel on whetstone carrying through the quiet house. The J-Dragon Triad was about to learn why Kidon operatives were the most feared assassins in the world. And Joel was about to remind himself why he'd walked away in the first place. The door exploded inward at exactly 9 p.m. The explosion of the door came with military precision, shaped charge, minimal collateral damage, maximum shock effect. 8 men poured through the opening in a tactical formation that would have impressed most Special Forces units. They found Joel Hodges sitting at his kitchen island, calmly sharpening a knife. The distinctive shing, shing, shing of steel on whetstone didn't pause. Joel Hodges. Anthony Russell stepped forward, his weapon trained center mass. Nothing personal, just business. I know, Joel said softly, his eyes never leaving the blade. Anthony Russell. J-Dragon Enforcer. 15 confirmed kills, though the real number is probably closer to 30. You trained with the PLA Special Forces before going private. You're good. Russell's expression flickered. Surprise, then respect. You've got stones, I'll give you that. You're being used, Joel continued, still sharpening. Derek Sherwood hired you. But it's not about money. His brother was Marcus Sherwood, weapons dealer I killed in Cyprus 3 years ago. This is revenge disguised as a contract. Like I said, nothing personal. Russell's finger tightened on the trigger. Joel moved. Not human fast. Kidon fast. The knife left his hand in a fluid motion, embedding itself in the throat of the man to Russell's left. Before the body hit the ground, Joel had vaulted the island, a second blade appearing in his grip. The tactical formation shattered. Russell got off 2 shots, both hitting where Joel had been a fraction of a second before. Joel's blade found the gap in another enforcer's body armor, severing the femoral artery. The man dropped, screaming. 3 seconds. A tomahawk appeared in Joel's left hand. Where it came from, Russell couldn't see. It caught another operative in the side of the neck. The 4th man got his weapon up, fired. The bullet grazed Joel's shoulder but didn't slow him. Joel's knife punched through the man's eye socket. 8 seconds. The remaining 4 scattered, trying to establish firing positions. Amateur mistake. Joel had designed this killing floor months ago, knowing one day he might need it. He triggered a mechanism hidden in the wall. 2 gas canisters dropped from the ceiling, flooding the space with CS tear gas. But Joel was already wearing contact lenses he'd inserted hours ago, his sinuses coated with protective gel. The enforcers were blind, choking. Joel moved through them like death itself. Knife work. Close. Personal. Brutal. 15 seconds. Russell, to his credit, adapted fast. He grabbed a dying comrade's gas mask, backed toward the door, firing suppressive bursts. Joel let him. He wanted Russell alive. 23 seconds. The last enforcer, standing, tried to run. Joel's tomahawk took him in the spine. 30 seconds. Russell made it to the doorway, turned for a final shot, and found Joel standing 5 feet away, completely calm, a knife in each hand. You're better than I expected, Russell admitted, his weapon still trained on Joel. You're worse than I hoped, Joel replied. But you're professional enough to know when you've been set up. Derek Sherwood didn't tell you what I was, did he? He said you were a house husband. I'm a Kidon operative. Was 43 confirmed eliminations. 217 assists. I've killed terrorists, arms dealers, war criminals, and 3 people who probably didn't deserve it. I walked away from that life for love. Joel's voice went cold. And my wife hired you to kill me. Russell's weapon lowered slightly. Jesus Christ. Put the gun down, Anthony. You're not walking out of here, but I'll make it quick if you cooperate. Can't do that. But Russell's stance shifted, no longer attack, but defense. Then we have a problem. 45 seconds. They stood in tableau, predators recognizing each other. Then Russell did something Joel didn't expect. He lowered his weapon completely. I've got kids, Russell said. 2 daughters. I need to know they'll be taken care of if I don't kill family. Joel interrupted. Give me Derek Sherwood. Give me everyone in his conspiracy. Your family stays off the board. Russell nodded slowly. Deal. Outside, Kyle Blair watched through thermal imaging, his hands trembling. 8 heat signatures had entered the house. Within a minute, 7 were cooling on the floor. The 8th, Russell, was negotiating. Holy God, Stella breathed. We need to call this in. And say what? That we watched a professional hit squad get massacred by a house husband? That we've been surveilling a possible intelligence operative without authorization. Kyle's mind raced. We need to contain this. Contain? Kyle, there are 8 bodies in there. Kyle made a decision that would haunt him forever. We're going in. But carefully. Very, very carefully. Joel zip-tied Anthony Russell to a kitchen chair as sirens wailed in the distance. The enforcer didn't resist. He'd seen enough to know resistance was suicide. Talk fast, Joel said, checking his shoulder wound. Shallow. He'd had worse. Derek hired me 3 weeks ago. $3 million for a clean elimination. He said you were a civilian. No training. No threat. He lied. He's using you to get revenge for his brother. Once I'm dead, you become a loose end. He'll have the FBI or another contractor waiting to eliminate the Jade Dragon team. Joel cleaned his blade methodically. You were dead the moment you took this contract. Russell's jaw tightened. That son of a... The front door, what remained of it, burst open. Kyle Blair entered, weapon drawn. FBI windbreaker Stark against the carnage. His face went pale. Federal agent. Don't move. Joel didn't move. Didn't even look up from cleaning his knife. Special Agent Kyle Blair. Seattle Field Office. Organized Crime Task Force. You've been watching Derek Sherwood for 6 months, investigating Triad money laundering. He finally met Kyle's eyes. You knew this was coming. Kyle's weapon wavered. How do you? Because I'm very good at my job. Was. A.M. Joel gestured at the bodies. Self-defense. They broke into my home with intent to kill. 8 against 1. I defended myself. Defended yourself? Kyle's voice cracked. This isn't defense. This is a massacre. Would you prefer I let them kill me? Stella appeared behind Kyle, took in the scene, and immediately vomited. Joel sighed. The dead ones won't talk. But Anthony will. He'll tell you everything about Derek Sherwood's conspiracy, the Jade Dragon operations in Seattle, and exactly how my wife orchestrated this hit. In exchange, his family gets protection and he gets a cell instead of a grave. You're insane, Kyle whispered. I'm practical. Joel stood, towering despite his average height, the sheer presence of a man who'd killed more people than some small wars. You have a choice, Agent Blair. You can arrest me, spend years trying to prosecute a case that involves international intelligence agencies you don't want to touch, lose your career, and watch everyone involved disappear into classified files. Or you can use what happened here to dismantle Derek's operation, save my life, and become the agent who took down a major Triad network. You're asking me to cover up 8 murders. I'm offering you 8 justifiable homicides and a case that'll make your career. Joel's voice softened. I don't want to be a killer anymore, Kyle. I walked away. But Derek Sherwood dragged me back, and my wife loaded the gun. Help me finish this the right way, and I disappear. You get the credit. Justice gets served. Kyle looked at Russell. Is he telling the truth? Every word, Russell said. Derek Sherwood set this up. He wanted Joel dead and my team eliminated. 2 birds, 1 stone. The sirens were getting closer. Kyle had seconds to decide. Stella, call it in, he finally said. Home invasion. Multiple suspects. 1 captured. Homeowner defended himself. He looked at Joel. But you and I are going to have a very long conversation. I'll tell you everything, Joel promised. Except the things that'll get us both killed. As Seattle PD flooded the house, Joel caught his reflection in the broken window. Blood-spattered, cold-eyed. The mask of Joel Hodges, loving husband, had shattered completely. Now there was only the weapon underneath. And it was time to finish what his wife had started. 3 hours later, In an FBI interrogation room, Joel sat across from Kyle Blair. No lawyer, no recording, just two men in a gray space between law and necessary evil. Mossad Kidon Division, Kyle said, reading from a file that officially didn't exist. Active from 2003 to 2018. Officially listed as separated from service. Really, you just vanished. I met someone. Wanted a normal life. Alyssa Hodges. Née Alyssa Ford. Pharmaceutical sales executive. Clean background. Or so it seemed. Kyle pushed a photo across the table. Until we dug deeper. Her company, Meridian Pharma, has been under investigation for insurance fraud. She's been cooking her sales numbers, embezzling kickbacks. She's 3 months away from indictment. Joel's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes went very dark. Kyle continued. Derek Sherwood approached her 8 months ago, right when her financial problems were getting critical. He seduced her, yes, but he also offered her a solution. Marry a wealthy man, or eliminate a poor one for insurance money. She chose elimination because I'm not wealthy, Joel said flatly. Worse, we found emails. She knew you were dangerous, Joel. Derek told her enough to scare her. She knew you were more than you seemed, and she chose to try to kill you anyway because she was desperate. Kyle leaned forward. Your wife wasn't manipulated into this. She was a willing participant. Joel absorbed this like a bullet to the chest. Slow. Painful. Derek's using her, Kyle added. Once you were dead, he planned to frame her for hiring the hit, collect the insurance money himself, and disappear. She's not a co-conspirator in his eyes. She's another victim. How many others? Joel asked quietly. Others? How many other people has Derek done this to? How many women has he seduced and destroyed? Kyle flipped through files. We suspect at least 3. Similar pattern. Wealthy widows who died in convenient accidents. Derek was always nearby, always the supportive friend, always inherited or benefited. But we could never prove it. Joel stood, his hands flat on the table. I want Derek Sherwood. I want everyone in his network. And I want it done my way. Your way is illegal, Joel. I can't. Your way takes years, and he walks on technicalities. My way is permanent. Joel's voice was ice. I've killed terrorists, Kyle. Men who would have bombed schools and hospitals. I've killed arms dealers who supplied child soldiers. Derek Sherwood destroys innocent people for profit. He's worse than anything I eliminated in the field. I can't authorize murder. Then don't. Look away. Joel moved toward the door. You have 72 hours to build your case against the Jade Dragon Network using Russell's testimony. That's your career-making moment. What happens to Derek Sherwood and my wife in that time? Well, sometimes people just disappear. Joel, don't. One more thing. Joel turned back. Alyssa's parents, Gordon and Leah Ford. They live in Portland. Make sure they're safe. They don't deserve what's coming. Kyle watched Joel leave, his instincts screaming at him to stop this, to arrest him, to do something. But another part, the part that had seen too many criminals walk, too many victims destroyed by legal loopholes, stayed silent. Sometimes the system failed, and sometimes monsters needed other monsters to stop them. Derek Sherwood's penthouse had building security, cameras, and a panic room. Professional protection for a man who'd made enemies. It wasn't enough. Joel bypassed the security in 17 minutes. Techniques he'd learned in Tel Aviv still worked perfectly. He entered through the balcony at 2 a.m., a ghost in tactical black. Derek was awake, pacing, phone pressed to his ear. I don't care what happened, Alyssa. The team is dead. All of them. Joel killed them. Jesus Christ, what is he? Joel stepped out of the shadows. Your brother's killer. Derek spun, went for the gun on his desk. Joel covered the distance in 3 strides, struck Derek's wrist with surgical precision. Bones cracked. The gun clattered away. Please, Derek gasped. Marcus Sherwood, arms dealer, supplied weapons to Hezbollah, Hamas, and 3 terror cells in Europe. Over 200 civilians died from his munitions. I eliminated him in Cyprus. Clean. Quick. He barely suffered. Joel's voice was conversational, almost friendly. You should have mourned and moved on. He was my brother. He was a mass murderer. And you're worse. You destroy innocent people for profit. You seduced my wife, manipulated her, and tried to have me killed. Not for justice. For money. Joel pulled out a knife. Marcus died fast. You won't. Wait. Wait. I can pay you. 10 million. 20. I don't want your money, Derek. I want you to understand something. Joel leaned close. When you hired the Jade Dragon Triad, you opened a door. Behind that door wasn't a house husband. It was everything I'd buried. Every kill, every technique, every dark instinct I'd locked away to be normal. You did that. You brought the monster back. Derek was sobbing now. Please, I'm sorry. You're not sorry. You're caught. Joel's voice went arctic. But I'm not going to kill you, Derek. That would be mercy. Joel pulled out a phone, dialed. When it connected, he put it on speaker. Jade Dragon Headquarters. A voice answered in Mandarin. Joel responded in flawless Mandarin. This is concerning Anthony Russell's team. I have Derek Sherwood here. The man who hired your enforcers to eliminate me, knowing they would die. He used your organization as disposable assets. I'm sending you his location and evidence of his intentions. What you do with him is your business. He ended the call. Derek's face went white. They'll kill me. Probably. Or worse. Joel headed for the balcony. But you'll have time to think about every life you destroyed. Every woman you manipulated. Every person you killed for profit. Triad justice is slow, Derek. Very slow. You're a monster. Joel paused at the balcony door. Yes, but I'm a monster who kills other monsters. You're just a murderer in an expensive suit. There's a difference. He vanished into the Seattle night. By dawn, Derek Sherwood had indeed disappeared, picked up by 3 men in a black sedan. Security footage would show nothing useful. FBI investigation would dead end at international waters. Kyle Blair, watching the footage, closed the case file with shaking hands. Sometimes, justice wore a mask that looked a lot like revenge. Alyssa Hodges returned from Portland to find her world collapsing. FBI agents met her at the airport, not to arrest her yet, but to inform her that her boyfriend had vanished and her husband had killed 8 men in self-defense. Where's Joel? She demanded, her voice shrill. Safe house, Kyle lied. Mrs. Hodges, we need to talk about Derek Sherwood. They showed her everything. The emails, the financial records, the evidence that Derek had planned to frame her for the hit, steal the insurance money, and disappear. They showed her the 3 other women Derek had destroyed. No, Alyssa whispered. No, he loved me. He was going to save me. He was going to kill you after Joel died. Kyle said bluntly. You were another mark. Alyssa crumpled. Not from grief, from rage. She'd been used. The realization was a knife to her ego. I want a deal, she said suddenly. I'll testify. I'll tell you everything. But I want immunity. Kyle looked at her. This woman who'd tried to have her husband murdered, who'd been embezzling for years, who'd chosen money over love, and felt nothing but contempt. No deals. You hired killers to murder your husband. That's conspiracy to commit murder. You're going to prison, Mrs. Hodges. He's not even my real husband. Alyssa snapped. Joel is a spy? A killer. He's been lying to me for years. He was a spy? Now he's just a man whose wife betrayed him. Kyle stood. You'll be arraigned tomorrow. I suggest you get a very good lawyer. That night, Joel watched from a car across the street as Alyssa was led from the FBI building in handcuffs. News crews swarmed. Headlines formed. Pharma executive arrested in murder for hire plot. Brent Hoyt sat in the passenger seat. Satisfied? No, Joel said quietly. But it's done. Derek. Gone. Jade Dragon took him. They don't forgive betrayal. And you? What now? Joel started the car. I disappear. Again. Properly this time. You can't run forever, Joel. Watch me. But as he drove away from the wreckage of his marriage, his life, his carefully constructed normal existence, Joel knew Brent was right. You couldn't outrun what you were. He was a weapon. Always had been. Alyssa had just reminded him. And weapons don't retire. They reload. 6 months later, the courthouse in Seattle was packed for Alyssa Hodges' sentencing. She'd been convicted on conspiracy to commit murder, embezzlement, and fraud. The jury had deliberated for 90 minutes. Alyssa stood before the judge, her expensive suit unable to hide the hollowness in her face. 6 months of pretrial detention had broken her. She kept scanning the courtroom, looking for someone. Joel wasn't there. Mrs. Hodges, the judge said, you orchestrated a conspiracy to murder your husband for financial gain. 8 men died as a result of your actions, even if by your husband's hand in self-defense. You showed no remorse, only anger at being caught. This court sentences you to 25 years in federal prison, eligible for parole after 15. Alyssa's legs buckled. Her lawyer caught her. As she was led away, she finally saw him. Joel, standing in the back of the courtroom, expressionless. Their eyes met. She opened her mouth, perhaps to plead, to apologize, to curse him. Joel simply turned and walked away. Outside, Kyle Blair caught up with him. You didn't have to come. Yes, I did. Joel lit a cigarette, a habit he'd broken years ago and recently resumed. Needed to see it end. It's not over for you, is it? No. Joel exhaled smoke into the gray Seattle sky. Derek's gone, but the Jade Dragon knows what I am now. Mossad knows I surfaced. My past isn't buried anymore. It's exposed. I'll be looking over my shoulder forever. Was it worth it? The revenge. Joel thought about that. About Alyssa in handcuffs. About Derek screaming as Triad enforcers took him. About 8 bodies on his kitchen floor. Ask me again in 10 years, he finally said. Kyle handed him a card. If you need to disappear, really disappear, call that number. We owe you for the Russell testimony. Took down the entire Jade Dragon Seattle operation. I made deputy director off that case. Joel pocketed the card. Congratulations. Joel. Kyle's voice softened. You're not a monster. Monsters don't walk away. I didn't walk away, Kyle. I reloaded. Joel crushed the cigarette. The man who loved Alyssa enough to leave Mossad? He died when those enforcers broke down his door. What's left is what I was before. What I'll always be. He started walking, then paused. But thanks anyway. 3 days later, Joel Hodges ceased to exist. The name, the records, the identity, all erased by people who owed him favors. Somewhere in South America, a man matching his description was seen opening a small security consulting firm. Or maybe it was Europe. Or Asia. The reports conflicted. The truth was simpler. Joel had become a ghost again. Not retired. Not reformed. Just waiting. Because men like him don't get happy endings. They get intermissions between wars. And Joel had learned the hardest lesson of all. Love was the most dangerous mission he'd ever undertaken. It had cost him everything. Next time, if there was a next time, he'd stick to what he was good at. Killing monsters. Even if the monster he was killing was himself. Epilogue. 1 year later, in a maximum security women's prison, Alyssa Hodges received a letter. No return address. Just a single sentence in handwriting she recognized. Betrayal has a price. You're paying it. But know this, I paid it too. She burned the letter that night. But she never forgot the words. Or the man who'd written them. The man she'd tried to destroy. The man who destroyed everything instead. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.